Do you think education can help us better understand our peers?
Definitely education does help, especially when we are teaching young children, because young minds are very perceptive. They learn things very quickly. Knowledge is imprinted a lot strongly at a young age.
Yes and no, I guess so. Let's say if you are in the school, in the class, classmates from different races, you get to understand them a little bit more. But on the other hand, if you don't do it properly, they may end up separating themselves more. I feel that you cannot emphasize too much on trying to integrate people together. I think it doesn't quite work that way. Let's say, for example, you're talking about Hari Raya. What's the meaning of Hari Raya? For example, you have a group of Chinese or Indian. They have to make them understand what's Hari Raya first before you go and dress up like a Malay, They have to make them understand a bit deeper the culture or values of different races. Then I think it works.
It's a medium or a vessel wherein you impart knowledge to teach individuals a lot of things. Social divides, highlighting differences, or you have to focus on diversity and the inclusions as well. And then the materials in the curriculum, very important, because if that material and curriculum highlights equality, then it can provide a voice. It's like laying out the framework for an educational system. If I wasn't fortunate to go to school, I definitely have different views. In school, they teach you the tolerance. So if you have the knowledge and the tolerance, you develop respect for yourself. And then if you have respect for yourself first, you will know how to be empathizing with others. You will respect others in the end.
Education, and by being educated about our tradition and also the other traditions, we get to understand our peers more properly. At a young age, when we are being educated, instead of judging someone for the way that they are doing something, it helps us understand why is it that it's being done that way. At school, when there are social studies, it is definitely one of the things that will help the younger generations to understand, especially in Singapore, where there are more than one races. In the future, it helps to form a more peaceful relationship between all the races. At households as well, it can help. For an example, when our own family, our parents educate us what is a certain tradition, a certain culture, so that they will have a better relationship with their friends as well, and they can also get more friends. They can educate their kids by telling that, okay, at this month they will be celebrating this festival, why are they celebrating that? So yeah, it can definitely start in the household as well.
Our education system is unable to touch parents' education, that part. How parents educate, how parents bring up their kids. It has to be a whole society kind of thing, to make adults understand, not just kids, but adults must understand different races. What's the meaning of the different races, a deeper understanding of different races, and how to get along with one another. Because parents definitely play a very, very important part. When you call for parents meeting, usually are those you don't need them to come, they already know. But those you want them to know, they won't come. So I also don't know how to go about it. Probably it's not just a job of the school. Probably it's a job of a bigger society. How can the society do something to promote this racial harmony things?
It's actually very common for me to hear like certain race make fun of certain race, and obviously I will try to educate them in a better sense. I'll tell them like, you can't say it, you need to know the history of it. I'll try to correct them and tell them why is it wrong. I feel like parenting is very important in the sense that teach their kids about racial indifferences. I feel like no one is born racist, but they are taught to be one.
It's quite cute because I have my boys in school that have seen my wallpaper before. So they're like, who is this? Then I have to explain, oh, it's my boyfriend. Then my Malay student, he actually looked at me like, cannot, Malay, you are Chinese? Why is he not Chinese? Then I have to actually explain to him that, oh, because it's just like that. Like Teacher Liwa wants to be with a Malay friend, and it's okay because Singapore is a multiracial country. We embrace different race. When we actually explain rationale, students understand a lot better, children understand a lot better, rather than like, oh, we don't do this, we don't do that. So rationale and teaching and educating from a young age is very important.
So education definitely can better help us understand, because when I was in primary school for Racial Harmony Day, but I remember Eurasians, I guess, are like white people. I mean, I'm giving you my perspective as a child, right? But as a white people, they'll just wear a white shirt, pants and a tie. And then when I come out there, I realized, like, of course, everyone's in their traditional outfits. I mean, it didn't really bother me, but it's like, oh, okay. And then as I grew up, I'm a Eurasian by cert. And as I grew up, I realized, hey, wait, Eurasians also got Portuguese, got this, got this. Some of you got your own language, like Kristang. I don't have anything. I still don't understand what the hell am I supposed to do. So the truth is, if at a young age, if it didn't come from my parents, but it came from school, where a teacher literally can help you suggest that, I mean, especially if you're not like full-on like a race, right? If you're a mix, right? If there is enough pocket of space for educators to not educate you about your race, but make you understand that it's completely fine if you are lost. Even just a question, I think that would have transpired so much like conversations and thoughts at a much younger age than me trying to learn about myself and relearn about my heritage and try to figure that out at a much more older age.
Education-wise, it's super important in today's context. With the light of the rising of social medias, Instagram, Twitter, especially TikTok, we definitely have so much information passing around so much faster, much easier. All these things can come with some form of rumors, some form of caveats to it. It kind of creates this importance to like, okay, so what's actually going on? So at the end of the day, it's just really bringing back to how things was in 1964, where the racial riots happened. On its own, it creates so much tension between two races. We wouldn't want to have that in this current stage of Singapore, where we don't want to have a constant beef with somebody. We want to have understanding towards somebody, having that importance to educate and coming back to the open platform to actually talk about things, to actually communicate with people, and having that willingness to understand people, being able to have patience with each other. I think at this point of time, Singapore is in a state where it can be a bit more cohesive.
To strengthen the relationship between the different races and to make sure that our staffs are also well educated about the other races, we do celebrate the festivals in our own way. For the upcoming Deepavali, we will have Rangoli, like I said, the column, right? So we will have that competition in our office where all of our employees will participate as well. And on that day, it is kind of a mandatory for them to be wearing Indian tradition clothes. For other festivals as well, we do have that festival-related activities which will make our staff understand the tradition even more.
Social studies, I think, creates that open curiosity in an individual's mind to actually like, hey, what exactly happened last time? And we have this understanding like, oh, this actually happened, this stuff actually happened. How can we move forward? But I think at the end of the day, social studies requires us to be in a platform where we have open communications in classes. These kind of platforms in classes kind of creates that maturity to like, oh, what's exactly going on? And we kind of create that platform where we can move forward together rather than like, oh, to each its own, or to each student to like interpret the conversation or like the article and things like that. So we want to create this homogeneous aspect where we can communicate together and we kind of understand how each other view this, then move forward with a unified vision. I think it's super important to have this kind of like critical thinking in our students to like have the openness. How can we move forward? How can we improve the social aspect or the social fabric of Singapore?
By educating ourselves about things around us, people around us, we also get to get along with people more easily.
IMH? Just say IMH.
Ever again. So
Rich. Okay.